our new house. Buying our new house was, I don't know if it was challenging or easy, to be honest. To be honest with you, it was an easier process than I think we expected it to be. However, we also didn't expect to have to, it's really hard to explain this. We saw so many houses, and when I say so many, we only looked at 5, which I know is not a lot for most people in this day and age looking at homes, especially in the market we were in when we bought. But we had such specific needs for a new house. We had 2 key things that needed to happen, which were the entire purpose of us moving. We needed 1 floor. And when I mean 1 floor, I truly mean no sunken living rooms, no steps, no nothing on the main floor, which honestly, I was expecting to be easier than that was. That was harder because every house we looked at either had a sunken living room or a sunken entrance or something that made those few steps a question mark as to whether or not we should buy this house. And so we didn't really know whether or not we'd find a house that was truly on 1 floor after looking at these 5 houses. The second thing that needed to happen is we needed a master bath with a shower, and a shower that was big enough from an accessibility standpoint for me. Not a little corner shower, not a shower that was tucked into a corner that I had a hard time getting to. It needed to truly be an accessible shower for someone who long-term, we don't know what's gonna happen with me. I could roll over in 2 years from now and be completely fine, or I could be completely wheelchair bound in 2 years. We have no idea what to expect. And so we truly wanted this house to be accessible no matter what my situation was gonna be, which in hindsight seems like such a logical thing. And you'd think, looking back, you'd think home builders would spend more time thinking about accessibility, but let's be real, not the top priority when it means that it costs more money. And we'll get into that in another video. But when we looked for a house that was on 1 level, I didn't expect to find steps here and steps there everywhere. And so we really had to look at an era house, an era appropriate house where sunken things weren't as common. And so we kind of started narrowing down the years of homes we were looking at. And Luke and I had a really big conversation about what we truly wanted this house to be. We knew we'd be looking at a fairly large renovation at this point, no matter what the house we looked or bought, because all the houses either didn't have the bathroom we needed or didn't have the accessibility we needed. So there was some major considerations to be done there. And obviously we had a very specific budget that we didn't really want to go over. So here we were with a very specific budget and fairly specific needs. It's not like we just wanted an open concept, or we wanted an island, or we wanted, to paint things a certain way. We're talking about structurally very specific, accessible things, like doorways that were big enough and things like that. And the reality is, if the house wasn't built with those things in mind, it's kind of hard to change. So the bones had to work for the renovation we had in mind. So we decided, after 3 weeks of looking and seeing these few houses that we just weren't super impressed with, we said, you know what, let's open our scope and look not necessarily just in the area we originally thought we'd look at, but look at the entire city. With the exception of a couple neighborhoods, we wanted to still stay on the southern side of the city, and we wanted to be as close as we could possibly be to Luke's work without giving us a very specific range, which we had originally done. And so we started looking, and lo and behold, we find this cute little 1,250 square foot home in the south side of the city, not far from Luke's work. And we're like, this house could work. It has most of everything we were looking for, but it's an older home. The house was built in 1965, and we just weren't sure of the actual structural of the house. The electrical could be a question mark issue, certain things like that. So we said, okay, if all these things are things to consider, maybe this house isn't the one, but something like this could work for us. So what did we do? We sent the listing to our realtor and said, hey, we like the idea of this house. The concept is there. The big check marks are there. It's one floor. It has the square footage we're looking for. Keep this in mind if you see other listings like this one. And here's our new scope area that we're looking at. And our realtor sent me back a message, which I wasn't really expecting. It was Sunday night. It was like 7:30 at night. And obviously showings were done for Sundays. And this house was closing Tuesday. So we didn't expect to even contemplate this house as an option. And our realtor's like, no, we can go see it. Let's go see it. And I said, no, it's fine. Like, it's late. Like, don't worry about it. We'll go see the next one. It's not a big deal. Luke and I weren't in a rush. We said, we didn't even know if this was going to be a fit. We didn't want to waste his time. And he just refused to take no as an answer. He's like, no, Steph, we're going to see this house. If you think this could be an option, we're going to see it. So we met up with him at like 9 o'clock at night to come and see this house, and it could work. We did the tour and we said, okay, it checks off all the boxes. The reno may be a little bit more extensive than we had originally hoped for, but short of that, everything else is solid. It had a new roof, new windows, new water tank, new AC unit. Everything that needed from a maintenance perspective to be done was pretty much done. The bones of the house were good, the foundation was solid, but the electrical and plumbing were a little bit questionable. So I said, okay, we have to make a decision as to whether or not we're gonna put an offer on this house. I'm not doing that without an inspection. I refuse to. I don't care how crazy the market is. I'm not gonna do it without an inspection, because some people at this point are moving into houses sight unseen. And I'm not putting that big of an investment in our future without having, at a minimum, an inspection done before we put an offer in. He's like, no problem. I'll find you one of our inspectors. I'm sure one of them can come in tomorrow. We'll do the inspection and then we can put in an offer. And we said, oh, okay, let's go. In true Stephanie fashion, let's run and let's do it. And so we did the inspection. The house checked off pretty much every box. There wasn't any major issues, short of an electrical panel was a little smaller than we'd probably need long-term because it was built in 1965 and the electrical needs were different. But within the budget of a renovation, we expected that chances are we can put in a new panel anyways, so that could be a problem solved there. Plumbing is completely fine. And we're like, okay, roof is in good condition, insulation's in good condition, check, 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 check. And we were here for 2.5 hours doing an inspection, and there were no, major red flags. And not to say this house is perfect, don't get me wrong, there's some issues. But for a 1965 home, it was maintained well. It was in good shape. The bones were really good, and we knew we were gonna be putting in some work anyways. So we're like, okay. We put in an offer, and we find out that we're the only offer. And we were shocked, because all we'd been told when looking at homes was expect multiple offers, expect a bidding war. We had these expectations of where the market stood. And lo and behold, this house was left in a bit of a shamble. And so everyone who probably looked at it said it needs too much work. We want something more move-in friendly. And for us, we knew that move-in friendly was just not going to be the way we found a home because of the needs we had from an accessibility perspective. So it kind of turned out to be a perfect fit. We didn't get into a bidding war. We didn't get into any crazy situation, and we got to put the money that we got from our old house into renovating this home and truly making it accessible for our future, so that accessibility will no longer be a question for us going forward. No matter what state I'm in, we're gonna have a house that I can live in, not be bound to our bedroom with, and we got the house. And the day that we got the answer that we got it was a huge relief. We finally knew that we had a future where I could spend time in the kitchen with my husband and do things that didn't require me to do a bunch of steps and have to process information before we even did it. I can just do those things now. And we're so looking forward to being able to live as a couple again and be able to actually truly live together in a house that I have access to now. So we have an accessible home. Yes, it needs a crazy amount of renovations, but it's gonna be a really fun experience. We're looking forward to the future in this house, and follow along. Next week, you'll get to see us getting possession of the house and everything fun that came with that. Really fun day for us. And so look forward to seeing that in the continuing journey of us moving and taking this new house and making it our home.